I can't do all of this at the same time. I took a leave from teaching. I went all in with Melanie and Lair, who I now have a business with, and did one-on-one coaching when my life was looking like everything was falling apart. And I decided to rise in absolute alignment. My marriage ended very abruptly and very suddenly. Looking back, not so suddenly, but in the moment, very shockingly. And after that, I created my first $1 million year inside of my business in my second year in business. And zero circumstances in my life would have looked like they were in alignment for me to be able to create the business that I created with 3 little babies at home, the world shutting down. This was in 2020. My life literally imploding, exploding, whatever we want to say. And me doing it in alignment as a projector. I worked between, at that point, 6 to 8 to 10 to 12 hours in a week on average. I brought human design into the coaching industry. I worked on alignment myself, and it just continued to take off as I continued to hold the standards of alignment for myself and teach and support others.
Amy Elizabeth is one of the world's leading human design experts. She's built a $10 million empire teaching seekers and entrepreneurs to decode their blueprint, align with their energy, and create success by design through Alpha HD. For her, human design isn't just a system, it's sovereignty mapped into your chart. But I teach something different. Through the Sovereign Healer method, I train people to understand their energy not through a chart, but through direct meditation mastery, cutting interference, anchoring discernment, and becoming sovereign without external systems. So here's the debate. Which path actually secures sovereignty? Do we trust human design as the blueprint, or do we need to become sovereign healers in order to truly know and master our energy? Well, let's find out. Hello there.
Hello, Victoria.
I am so excited about today's episode because human design has become quite a mainstream conversation. Would you agree? I would feel that not a lot of people, maybe even a few years ago, were talking about human design, at least in my world, in the spiritual development world, up until you. So, why don't you take me down journey lane a little bit here to help me understand how did you find human design and what are your main philosophies about human design?
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, it's a huge story. So I'm gonna give the Coles notes of this massive story. But I used to be a teacher, so I'm a former teacher, and I all of a sudden found the online world. I found the coaching industry, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was on maternity leave with my second daughter, and I was like, I had this pull to be in it. I had no business. I was on maternity leave. I had uh, just an intuition and a heart and a passion for I don't know what. And I invested a large amount of money, $10,000 US in business coaches, and I had literally again no business. And I made $0 and I was completely fine with that, but it brought me to this point of feeling like what I titled myself was an energetic alignment coach.
Mm.
Within weeks, I was on a run. In my ears was a podcast, and it was human design. I literally, I kid you not, sprinted home to my house, opened up my computer, typed in human design, found out what I was, and I was like, woof. I everything about me makes sense. Everything about me makes sense. From there, all of a sudden, I had somebody reach out for one-to-one coaching. I had this intuition of a program that I was going to launch called Soul School. And my business started to take off. And everything happened so organically. One client after another client. I think I had like 8 people inside of my very first program. And I was actually teaching at that time. I had gone back to teaching. And then I was on summer break. And I was like, I have to align as a projector. I have to be in alignment. My life continued to unfold, and I started to notice every single area of my life that was misaligned. And everything, my life, when I say it changed, it changed. It gave me every single opportunity for me to rise into alignment. I got pregnant with my third, my son, and my ex-husband. At that exact time, I was going up in my personal power and my understanding of self and the energetics world and what was possible in this limitless path. And he was going in a completely different direction with his own demons and darkness. And we were going two different directions. And during that time, my business, while I was pregnant with my son, I started having anxiety at work and knowing everything that was going on with my ex-husband, still trying to align as a projector and really just noticing like my eye was just pinpointed on anything and everything that was misaligned that I could change, that I could adapt inside of my life until one moment I was like, I cannot teach anymore. I can't do all of this at the same time. I took a leave from teaching. I went all in with Melanie and Lair, who I now have a business with, and did one-on-one coaching when my life was looking like everything was falling apart. And I decided to rise in absolute alignment. My marriage ended very abruptly and very suddenly. Looking back, not so suddenly, but in the moment, very shockingly. And after that, I created my first $1 million year inside of my business in my second year in business. And zero circumstances in my life would have looked like they were in alignment for me to be able to create the business that I created with three little babies at home, the world shutting down. This was in 2020, my life literally imploding, exploding, whatever we want to say, and me doing it in alignment as a projector. I worked between at that point 6 to 8 to 10 to 12 hours in a week on average. I brought human design into the coaching industry. I worked on alignment myself, and it just continued to take off as I continue to hold the standards of alignment for myself and teach and support others to do that.
So everybody and their mother talks about alignment. The word alignment. The I'm in alignment with my highest timeline. What does alignment mean to you as it connects to human design? Because I feel like we got to start there before we kind of go a bit deeper.
Yeah, so within human design, you have to be aligned with your energetic DNA. So this is how you're meant to be operating and working in the world. It's also a system that shows us the optimization of the natural power and energy sources that we already have within us. So when we start to align our lifestyle, our vision, our goals, our desires, the way that we're working, the way that we're thinking, the way that we're operating, and allow ourselves to become more authentic in our state of being, we
Mm,
get into as much alignment as we are evolved in that current moment in time.
mm,
And then through the process of us being aligned at that state, we're given another opportunity for us to align deeper. We
mm,
don't know what that's going to look like. All we know is that there's a feeling inside of our body, a pull, a desire, a yes, a hit that we're supposed to do the next thing. So we have to bring our human and get our human on board to walk to that next thing, to do that next thing, to be that next thing, to think that next thing, whatever that is for you. And that's where we continue to develop the process of alignment. It is not a one-time thing. It is not I know my human design, so I'm aligned. You actually have to develop the human. You have to actually send the human to the current highest timeline. And then the next one appears, and then you go there. So it's not this like big, huge path that people think like, oh, now I know what I'm supposed to do. It's you begin here, you face your life, you face the unsexy work is what I call it. So we have to go way deep into the unsexy work. What is not aligned? What does not match what you're thinking, what you desire? And then you start to change that. And with that comes patterns, it comes your conditioning, it comes history, it comes thoughts, it comes fears, it comes doubts, like so much within you that you actually have to move internally and energetically for your human to move in the human form, the physical form, in alignment. So we could think alignment, but we're not in alignment. And when we start to match the pieces of our human design or go towards them, we get into more alignment.
I'm a 3-5 generator, sacral authority. Help me understand, not just that, I don't want you to read my design, but this may be the first time that our listeners are hearing 3-5. I thought her name was Victoria Josephine Peepo. Like, I don't understand. What does 3-5 mean? What does the first number mean? What does the second number mean? Sacral authority, I don't understand that. So can you give the listeners, 'cause I do believe this is important for people to understand, because this may be the first time people are listening to human design, hearing about human design. What does that actually mean to the average person.
Yeah, within your human design, we have these pieces that we define. We say, you're this. And that just gives you the information on how your energy system is actually working for you. So when we say sacral, it means you're making your decisions from a sacral yes or no. And that simply means when you're tapped in to the feeling in your body, when something appears in front of you, when you think something, when you see something, when you hear something, you're responding yes or no. You move towards the yes and you say no thank you to the no. And every time you do that, both sides are equally as important. You're in alignment with what your energy is actually saying internally that is making the decisions for you. So it's never your brain, it's never your logic, it's never what you think is going to be right, it's never what you should do, it's what your body is pulled towards. Then when we go into your energy type, so there's 5 different energy types. You're always one of these 5 and your human design never changes. It's very important too. It never changes. So within it, it never changes, but your evolution of your design changes. So within being a generator, this just means the pieces of you that you're going to understand throughout your entire life. So for a generator, you're here for mastery, but that mastery is not one thing. It actually takes you to a place and you're going in, you're becoming insanely obsessed with what you're doing. You learn a skill and then you kind of go into a lull. And then in that lull, you're actually meant to surrender to the mastery of what that thing was and the openness to where you're supposed to go next. So that last skill, now once you're in the lull and you surrender to it, and you stop hating your life because you're in the lull and you stop trying to think your way out of it, and you get the next hit, the next sacral yes for you, you move there. These skills benefit what you're now mastering at that next level. So it continues to come with you. And these are just patterns for you to begin to recognize how your energy works best and where you're meant to be instead of where you think you should be or what you think you should be. And then those numbers that you mentioned at the beginning, you being a 3-5, these 2 numbers are the pieces of your personality. And these are so important because I work through the lens of leadership. So when we look at the lens of leadership, these are the 2 pieces that people are attracted to about you the most. And what you're going to, there's always like this like love-hate relationship with our profiles because a part of it is like, oh my gosh, this serves me so well. So for example, your 5th line is all about leadership. It serves you so well. And you're here to lead, you're here to like trailblaze paths that have never been opened before. At the same time, people are going to hate you for it. They're going to project everything onto you like you are the villain, but at the same time, in other people's stories, you are the hero. And then your 3rd line is going to also challenge that, but you're going to really understand your 3 line in the way that you're meant to be on this path that makes no sense to anybody else. You're trialing and erroring things. You're going in, figuring out what worked, what didn't, and then you're like on to the next. Now, both of these again carry a lot of shame with them, and they also carry so much freedom. So our job in human design is to look at the lens of shame, the ego, the parts that are difficult as our greatest opportunities. And then we take those strong parts where it's like, yeah, this is like smooth sailing. I love being a leader. I love figuring it out and bringing those together to be able to work the low frequency or like the shadow side, the unsexy side, and amplify your trust in the strong pieces of you, right? The parts of you that are so like innately organically powerful, and we want to develop those even stronger because it will support the unsexy side of it.
No matter what work I do on these lower aspects, lower shadowy parts of me, I will always be a 3-5 generator. Is that your point that there may be different dimensions to what I will access in that? It's multidimensional in nature. It's not static, but ever evolving with me. And these are my personalities. This is how I hear my own impulses, my own direction of life. And that may evolve, but it won't change.
Exactly. So even given a circumstance that comes in life, a situation, something life throws at you, you're going to have the opportunity to be in alignment inside of that moment. And the more you understand the confidence of yourself within your design of how you're meant to take that on, essentially, the more you evolve. The higher frequencies you emit, the more you trust yourself, the more you know yourself, and the more that you're actually going to align inside of that situation for yourself.
Mm. So now here's where I stand on this because I believe that our soul came here with different karma, let's call it. And those are the different hidden soul agreements. Those are the different, what I call and coin interference, where there's these lessons that you didn't master in other lives. And then you have to try to come back in this life to ideally transcend, integrate, neutralize it. And those are, I believe, no matter what, inhibiting our ability to have the alignment in the first place. Do you ever notice sometimes with clients, perhaps they'll be connecting with their human design, trying to get into alignment, but it feels like there's still something that's pulling them back?
Yeah, but, like, that's the part where it's you're not trying to connect with your human design. You're here to connect with yourself, with your soul, with your mission, with your karmic cycles inside of this lifetime.
Mm.
Do they match big parts of your human design? There's so much more that is, like, so much more detail inside of our human design that goes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. But you're actually here to know yourself so well, to trust yourself so well. So those moments that it's like you're trying to be in alignment with your human design, but something's pulling you backwards, it's actually the boomerang effect where you're meant to look at this through the lens of a higher version, a higher dimension, a higher frequency of your own alignment. And those are the greatest gifts that we could ever be given, that interference, those frequencies that are like, ooh, this isn't exactly what I thought was going to happen. Or those things that we are meant to transcend that are low frequency. And it's not to say that they ever go away. They're always present. They're always there, but we actually know how to hold ourselves. We know how to walk ourselves through. We know when they're popping up. And all of a sudden we have that agency to say, oh, I know what this is. And I know what my potential is. Am I tapping into my limitless potential inside of this scenario, this situation, this frequency, or am I allowing the lowest frequency, the misalignment to take over?
That's likely quite similar to how people overly identify with their natal chart or their birth chart. The image that I was getting was how, we come in and there's like a screenshot of the planets when we come into this realm of starseeds. And then it's a map, right? And none of us really know what the map is. We've got that inner compass. The map is really God's ultimate plan for our lives, but the compass is that sensation within us that goes that way, that way. But when we go, oh, these are my behavior patterns because Venus was in Scorpio in the 12th house when I was born, therefore I constantly create karmic problems and I need intensity. That's when it becomes the limitation. And that's kind of what I'm getting in the same way that you're referencing human design. We're not trying to get into our human design. We're allowing it to mirror opportunities for us to reach alignment. Is that what I'm gathering?
Exactly. So for myself, I'm also fifth line. So there's a lot of projections that come up. There's a lot of, this fiery energy, this trailblazing energy. I also have a shock factor as, the second part of my life. So many moments that I go through in my life are so shocking. And I could sit here and be like, oh, there we go. That's just my life happening. That's it's unfolding. But I look at, okay, understanding these moments that are going to organically happen. I have no idea what they are, when they are, or what they're going to look like, sound like. All I know is that as I understand that's meant to be happening in my life, it's happening for me in a higher purpose for me to say, okay, I also know as a leader, I'm meant to take this on. I also know that as a leader, this is for me and for the world. So I don't just sit here and say, okay, well, now there's life happening. I say, okay, cool, this is happening for me. I understand that. I can actually logically understand that. And now, energetically, where am I going bigger? How am I letting this be an opportunity for me to align to a version of myself that I haven't even met yet through this moment?
Mm, through this moment, I am able to access almost like this proactivity, if you will, to my life instead of what I sense sometimes with people who utilize human design. It feels like this, oh, it's because of this, right? Oh, that explains that behavior. Instead of having this energy of this is mirroring to me how I can utilize this to keep my energy forward and moving into alignment. Now, here's a question for you because you've used energy and soul, alignment, and human in human design, kind of like all as one thing. Like you've used it all in one sentence. I see them all as different things. And so, is human design about your human aspect? Is it about aligning the way I understand like alignment is about mind, body, soul. So like aligning your mental body, your physical, emotional body with your soul, right? But those are different things to me. So what does human design actually help me with? My human behaviors, my soul freedom, my mind, body, soul alignment? Are they all one or are they different things?
It's actually the science of differentiation. So as you say this, it's like it's all one, but it's all different. It's all one, but it's all different. It's the science of differentiation. So when we look at it this way, it's like when you and people use it for different things. And this is where we also have to have that like discernment through that lens is yes, some people will sit here and be like, I'm a projector, so I can't. And other people will say, wait a second, since I know I'm a projector, how can I do this in the most aligned way so I get limitless potential in my own body, soul, cell, desire, drive, right? There's a different focal point that people have within human design. So again, the science of differentiation. You use it one way, I use it another way. So she uses it like that. It's a stop for her. It's freedom for me. It's limitless for me. So however you want to use it, you use it. And it is all of these things combined together. So there's so many different components that come in, but our oneness coming together within our mind, within the human, within the soul have to work together. We have to be in alignment working together. Otherwise, it is a block. Otherwise, it is a hard stop. Otherwise, you say, yeah, I can't. The ones in alignment are like, okay, cool. How do I do it my way? Even when I started my business, it was all about how do I do it my way based upon my lifestyle, based on the time freedom I want and need inside of my lifestyle for my children, for myself, for the unknown inside of my life. And as a projector, my greatest gifts that I have, how do I maximize that? How do I come out with the most amount of potency so I don't need to overwork? I don't need to be burnt out. I can have all the success that I so desire that I allow myself to have. I want to create it my way. So it becomes this the science of differentiation because even from generator to generator, projector to projector, it's all based upon what you want and what you're open to your
Mm,
soul saying to you.
mm, hmm. Well, now this becomes fascinating because we're kind of having a debate about two different forms of systems that ultimately take us to freedom. For me, in the Sovereign Healer method, this is all about four major things: ground, shield, protect, and cleanse. When I explain shielding, I mean removing the external variables around you so you can start to hear spirit, you can hear your own soul. Until we remove the variables, I'll think, oh, human design is right for me, even though it might not actually be the path for me to my soul freedom, right? I might be, if you will, influenced by things outside of me. So shielding is being able to like remove the variables of what's around me. The grounding is very simple. It's a psychic practice, but you basically open up your root chakra and place a grounding cord, different levels of rooting into the earth, to basically connect, start to bring your energy in. You can also do different body scanning techniques. You can also go out in the forest, but making a regular, if you will, sovereign practice of grounding. Cleansing. This would be something that I would do, for example, after our call. I've just been chatting with you. I feel our energy. There's separation between it, but naturally I start to kind of pick up some of the impressions of your own energy. And so I would cleanse. And then finally, protection. Protection is how I keep you there and me here, right? It's about being able to have fortification of my own energy. And these are simple practices that I teach inside of the Sovereign Healer method. But ultimately what they do is they remove the noise, allow me to be fully anchored in my own energy, and then be able to hear, and then be able to sense. Because while I understand that human design ultimately supports us with alignment, in the same breath, I'm still looking to these numbers, if you will, these, oh, that's my personality, or that's a part of my, oh, there's the chaos because I go. I'm still looking at life in some way in my mindset through the external world. Whereas with the Sovereign Healer system, it's all about inner world. Then, oh, I'm naturally called to human design. And inner world, oh, that's not right for me. How do I not externalize something that is giving me external cues about my own internal experience?
You do the exact same thing. Exact same thing. So here's the thing is that there's so many different people in their own pathway of their own sovereignty already.
Mm-hmm.
So it's where they're at when they meet human design. And
Mm.
some people may do need to do a lot more of that work, and they're just sitting there learning, learning, learning. Like, what can I Google? What can I know? What can I know? What can I know? Thinking that's going to be the thing from that outside source, from the system of human design, where it's like,
Mm.
oh my gosh, they say, I'm a manifestor. I'm going to have peace in my life. And they take that definition and say, that's it. That's all I need.
Mm.
And they never get anywhere. They never experience peace. It's very temporary. It's probably in that moments when they're Googling and reading something. And then there's the ones that say, I have a job to do. And I
Mm.
feel innately connected to who I am, already knowing these pieces about myself. My favorite people to work with are the ones that come in and they're like, yeah, it already all makes sense. Like, I've been like this my entire life. I resonate. I get it. I am. And I want to learn how to ground, same thing, ground my power to really hear myself. When somebody else is doing this or joining this or launching this or celebrating this, how do I want to do it?
Mm.
And it's actually, you become, when you really align with your human design in absolute alignment, it becomes so easy and so powerful to say, that's not mine. That energy does not serve me. I need to disconnect. I need a moment. I need 5 days. I need to get and this person I cannot interact with anymore because I see, or I can understand them through their human design or their misalignment right now. I can have grace and
Mm.
compassion, and I can do that. There's not the set rules, but there's this level of awareness where it's my responsibility
Mm.
to be in alignment for myself, which means I need to do all of the additional work, not just read a definition and think it's going to happen. I don't just read it and go post something about it. I
Mm.
become it. And that means I'm in my personal power and connected to other sources, connected to God. I directly connect human design to God because it's like the design of your life. Like, are you willing to walk the design of your life? In your power, in your faith, in your trust, without having any idea what's next. Sure, you can have a definition, but you don't know what's next.
Mm. I hate that about my sacral authority because the yes comes and I'm like, yes. And I ride the wave. I'm like, this yes makes so much sense. I can feel it. And then I'm like, oh God, I thought I thought so many yeses ahead. The yes I felt was some 5-year thing that I need to now be able to hold the power of because I forefelt it. It's like foreseeing, but feeling. Like I could feel the yes of something that I knew was going to be astronomical, but I felt it today for something that's going to be coming into the future that I'm aligning with in the present. So I resonate with that. And I really love that you shared the responsibility of becoming. A lot of people in my world will come in and want to join the Sovereign Healer and are like, oh, but yeah, it's so fundamental. Like, I know how to ground. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't even know how to hold the space and integrity for your client. So do you really know how to ground? It's like, oh, those are all super fundamental things. And I'll say they may be fundamental, but if you put them all together, they're actually quite advanced. There's a system inside of the system. It's not just, and then you ground, and then you cleanse, right? And then you protect. It's actually, there's a formula that actually keeps your energy, your system in alignment. And maybe separately, to your point, it's like, I'm a 3. It's like, yeah, but where does it fit in the overall system? And how does that actually support you in alignment? It's actually one massive system, not just this isolated, here's your personality, and here's your authority type, and here's your this, and here's your that. Good luck.
Exactly what you said, and you have to be able to hold it.
Yeah.
And most people don't have the willingness, and this comes back to the conditions, it comes back to what you believe, it comes back to your own trust within yourself and the limitless potential of what exists within you and the world and the contradictions.
Mm.
Because there's so many contradictions. Well, it says I'm supposed to have success. It says I'm supposed to be satisfied. Well, I was satisfied a year ago, and now I have everything I want, but I'm not satisfied
Mm.
now. Or I thought it was going to be this. I'm not satisfied with that. Or not satisfied with myself.
Mm.
And you're sinking, you're sinking, you're sinking, you're sinking because you're not actually in alignment. So this is like the process of alignment is happening so fast that and this is where we move the human, and we have to do the energetic work because it's moving
Mm.
at a speed that your mind will never logically catch up to. And when you think you're in
Yes.
alignment, you're actually aligning to the next thing. So it's like, like you said, like 5 years ahead, like all of a sudden you're like, whoa, over here, you're preparing for that. It's a preparation. So can you hold alignment in the easiest moment of your life? When you just figure out human design, you're like, oh, all I need to do now. And that's where at the beginning I said, I literally surveyed my life. Every single area I saw myself misaligned. It wasn't a bad thing. I was like, yes, yes, please. Now, how can I look at this and be like, so what would be in the greatest alignment that I can currently hold right now? Because at that point, it wasn't quitting my job teaching and going all into my business. I didn't have the personal power to withhold at that level of alignment. And that would have like pushed me, I would have spiraled. I would not have been able to hold it. So you're holding success, you're holding satisfaction, you're holding peace, you're holding your alignment based upon how powerful you are in your energetic sphere, your faith, your
Mm.
spirit, and your human. Because there's
Mm.
another level right away. There's something else happening right now.
Hey there, it's me, V. So, as you can imagine, this is my first podcast. And so I'm learning all of these new ropes. And did you know how important ratings were? I didn't. I had absolutely no idea. And I'm so thankful for the support of my team for reminding me of how important having your ratings, your honest reflection of the podcast, how much that benefits us. So, I'm that annoying person in the middle of everyone else's episodes that I fast forward that hopefully you're listening to right now. And if you've got 30 seconds, it would mean the absolute world to us if you could take a moment and just rate this podcast, give it a thumbs up, share it with your bestie that you want to go head to head with, so we can continue to spread this message, debate about the truth, find what the truth is, and have the kinds of conversations that truly help us awaken in integrity. All right, back to the episode. So you need to be able to hold all dimensions of the experience of alignment, because what I often find is that the spirit is like, yes, like I'm just observing this game. Let's master these lessons. Let's move forward. But then the body's like, I'm shitting my pants. Like I feel with the anticipation, the momentum, like my body's starting to, I lose that grounding cord. And then my mind, if I'm not plugged into faith, right? If I'm not plugged into God, then what ends up happening is I make mountains out of molehills. Right? Or I zoom in and I zoom in and I zoom in, and something that wasn't a problem is now suddenly a problem. And things that wouldn't be a problem if I had the faith are now suddenly a problem. So, what you're saying here that I'm gathering is that it's actually about working with the differentiator and the unity at the same time. All of these different things, same concept of alignment, but being able to hold it as you are evolving the natural essence of your design.
Exactly. And to look at the moment and say, I am aligned now, and at the same time, there's something misaligned. Maybe you're holding yourself back. Maybe, like, even in my moments, so I'm a splenic authority. When it is a splenic yes, like, I'm literally like, "Ugh," like, I want it, like, there's no, like, stable, like, I'm like, oh my God, I want to be like, I feel sick. But I also know that, like, the fear in that, the feeling of my body being like, oh my God, is also my pathway to everything I desire. So it's now, how do I move myself in that moment to be like, I can hold the fact that I feel like I'm going to be sick right now. I can also hold the inner feeling of like, I know this is meant for me. I can also begin to trust myself to say, I am going to go for what I know I want. While my mind is saying, are you sure? Are you sure? Like, that's going to be hard. And at the same time, all of those unforeseen circumstances or lifestyle that other people are interacting with inside of our lives, we have to be able to hold this, because this is not just a singular system where it's like my alignment is and I'm aligned, everybody else get out of my way. You have partners, you have children, you have a business, you have clients, you have life, you have neighbors, you have so many things going on at the same time, where it's like your power of alignment is also based off of your power of alignment inside of your lifestyle and the people around you, and your bigger desires, and what your body is saying and where you're going. So it's the here, it's also the past of who you've been to
Mm.
what you're experiencing now to where you're going.
I have to ask this. So there's this guy on Love is Blind UK. It's a new Hayden's laughing. There's this there's this guy, and he is a human design coach, okay?
I have heard
And
of
he
this
go
guy. I watched one TikTok.
perfect. Then you know he's the spleen guy. And he basically sabotaged his relationship, at least that's what the editing created, because his spleen told him to. And it's quite fascinating how often he would refer to his spleen, to the point that it made me think, does he even know what his spleen is? Because the hits were so significant, at least to his perception, that it was kind of funny. It kind of made the a mockery, it seemed like, of human design because of the way that he was so constantly using this leverage of the spleen. And it's my spleen. Oh, it's because of my spleen. So in your case, I don't assume you to be that kind of person that's always like, well, what does my spleen say about this? But like, what is that fine line between manufacturing that hit because that's what the system of human design says versus it actually being a natural hit of your own energy source and you knowing that that's actually the natural next step?
Yeah, that's so funny because the spleen, like, you can't ask the spleen. And you're not getting like, that's like a sacral, like a hit, a hit, a hit. It comes out of nowhere. Like,
Mm.
I'm running, I hear, human design, splenic head sprint home, you know, and open up my computer. There is I hear a song of something, I get a splenic hit, that's your program. You know, the one little word that's in the middle of the song that nobody else hears, I'm like, "Ooh, that's the
Mm.
program." I know exactly what it is. When I'm meditating at night, I hear, "Go do this," or it's literally a voice that comes into my head that says something to me.
Mm.
Or from another source where it's like, it highlights the thing, and that's all I can hear.
Hmm.
So I could never. It's very rare that I'll ever be constantly like, it's very few and far in between,
Huh.
and I need the quiet, I need the stillness, I need the separation, like you said, like, from other
Mm.
people and other sources and that other energy, like, I really need to be connected with myself. If I'm not connected with myself, I do not hear it. I feel the regret
Mm.
later, it's like, "Oh, maybe this," but, like, I don't do it because it's not a hit. Like, a hit is like a whoosh at you.
Yes. So what you're saying is he didn't have a hit.
No, I think you're trying to talk about human design on TV.
He was trying to pierce human design into the mainstream, but he maybe needed a little bit of alpha HD.
I think he was a little misaligned, and his little ego and a little unsexy work he needed to do.
Wait, I love that because I knew that you had, is it called splenic authority?
Yes.
I knew that and I wanted to ask about him. Poor Patrick thought he had a splenic hit. He's like, I can't hear my spleen. And I know that sounds hilarious because it's the same thing as somebody saying to me, like, grounding, that's really basic. And I'm like, you don't understand. It's not face value. It's deep and there's layers and multi dimensions to grounding, just like in the same way me making a joke about this guy, that's like one very superficial perspective of an entire system. But I knew you could handle it. So I just wanted to hear your
It's
perspective.
actually so funny that you say when you say basic, because I call human design, like, the foundations basic all the time, but I'm like, "But that's where we need to go back to, like, that's the base, it's the base of the system, it's basic work, but you have to master it at every level," and where I get offended, and I just made a reel about this, but I get offended when people are like, "Well, how? How?" Look, do not ask me that question unless you're trying to piss me off. Don't ask me how.
So I guess our point here is that whatever is right for a person to get into their natural alignment, we're both looking through a system to be able to help people get into that sovereign alignment. And if somebody needs to externalize that system temporarily and overly identify with it for a time, that's a part of their misalignment so they could come into alignment of the actual becoming.
Absolutely, and I think no matter what, we have to look at your no matter what. And I always say it's alignment no matter what. Like, for me, it's alignment no matter what, but that's my belief, like, that's my core, that really is my alignment, that's my faith, that's what that's just the inner feeling that I have. Where someone could come into human design and they could say, "It's alignment for now, it's human design for now." And that's their truth. That's their alignment, right? It's using human design as long as it feels aligned. For me, it's a no matter what because I barely have scratched the surface of my alignment. Because I know that there's a limitless potential and my no matter what inside of my alignment with my human design is my absolute trust in myself, is my belief and faith system within God, knowing how I hear, how I move, how I trust what doesn't make any sense, and how I move through conditions that are are what I believe in, and no matter what, to build my alignment, but where most people would say that's a reason not to.
Walk me through that. That's a reason not to. Help me understand that.
That would be a reason not to align. Like,
Hmm.
if you're so called to human design, and then you're like, "Well, I'm going on vacation next week, so I'll do it in a year from now, read it in a year from
Mm.
now," right? Like, that's the reason not to. Or when my marriage dismantled and I became a single mother of 3, that could have been every reason for me not to continue inside of mentorship, for me to say, "Oh, wow, I was aligned to this point, now my life is so misaligned." That's not success. That could be my reason not to continue to align.
Mm. So you are devoted to the path of always staying in integrity with your own energy, your own source field, your own connection to who you are and who God decided you to be through this manifestation of your human design.
Absolutely, and who I'm still becoming in my human design. Because again, it's
Mm.
like it's limitless. It's how much you wanna play, it's how much you wanna go with it, it's how much
Mm.
you want to extend yourself, and I am devoted in the no matter what for a lifetime of evolution within my design.
Where do you find that people who are invested in the system of human design, where do they get tripped up? Where do you find that maybe they lose their sovereignty or they become over externalized into these numbers, concepts, ideas?
They hold on way too strong to it. So even as you were saying, like, there's so many parts of our human design where people can go into it. Like, I have people coming in and they're like, "This is my incarnation cross. Tell me about this," or "I'm a 4/1 manifester and I don't like this. So what do I do?"
Mm.
Or, "My incarnation cross is this. So, like, how do I form my business?" Where it's like, it's again being like, "Here's the system, tell me who to become."
Yes.
And then when it doesn't quote unquote work, right? When they're not experiencing what they think is supposed to be the aligned result, then they don't continue the evolution because they think they're supposed to experience logically what they imagine the alignment to be.
Mm.
Rather than even going into self, like, a big part of my work, especially at the beginning, was like, how does it feel? Now, what does it look like? Not what's in my bank account, not what is anybody else saying, like, how does it feel? And for me to be able to hold the power of what it feels like, what success feels like, my alignment of success, what that feels like was actually the driving factor of holding my confidence and power when people would say, "Are you sure?" Like, "Oh my God, you can't quit, or you can't do this. What do you mean you're going to show up and talk about that online?" Like, where all of the voices come in, it's like, but it feels like success for me.
Mm. That's exactly what Sovereign Healer is really about. It's about the fundamentals that we need more than ever before so we can actually have a firm frame, a loving firm frame, the right kind of masculine to help us fully understand what I call our own inlets, meaning my own connection to how my essence, my energy communicates with me. Because for each of us, just like human design, it's not static and it's not the same. Everybody has their unique ways of connecting with the spirit world and connecting with their own soul, their own higher self, their guides. And so we have to learn through the foundations how to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. But at the same time, the deeper I go, the more I'm spiraling up at the same time. It's like the heart holds the energy, but I'm spiraling up and down at the same time. And the foundation, while foundational, is actually the entire process of being able to go deeper to understand my own inlet. I think where people get tripped up, exactly like you said, is what they want or what they assume something to be is different than the actual experience of becoming it. And then they don't feel like it.
Mhm.
But they want that. Oh, but that looks way better. A lot of times what I see actually are projectors coming into my world as a generator, trying to change their design to be a generator in a generator's world.
Hmm. Yeah, and, part of that actually makes me so emotional just thinking about the human experience, because it's like, it just, like, breaks my heart that people would be like, "I'm gonna go here so I can fix my human experience.
Mm.
And that the human itself, that there's not the inner confidence yet to say, I'm willing to put my human through hell and back because my soul knows more than what my human does. And then people are coming in and being like, I got to fix my human, and that's going to make my human confident. And as soon as my human's confident, I can have anything and everything. Right. It's just like such a sad feeling. It's such an empty feeling because it really is the ego of the human driving everything forward. And then people wondering why something's not working for them in life.
Mm. When if they just listened and honored the rightness, because I don't think the rightness ever goes away. I'm curious what your thoughts are about that, about your design. Will these truths about your own energy, will it continue, or can we stuff it down so much that it becomes non-existent?
Well, I think like I was having an analogy when you were saying like the foundation, it's like the roots, right? A big, huge tree that's like so strong and is so big, its roots are huge. And we don't see the roots, and we have no idea how big and how far those roots are going, but the roots are what the foundation of the tree, that's how the tree grows. So it's not that these pieces of us won't exist, and this is why that unsexy work continues and continues and continues. It's just the roots get stronger. We have to make sure the roots are strong enough to hold the tree. So it's these roots, these pieces of us that we have to look at that most people aren't willing to look at, that most people are afraid of, that are so uncomfortable, is what will actually create this huge, massive, strong tree that, again, people are going to look at and be like, oh my gosh, look at that tree. But they have no idea the amount of times and the depth that those roots are grounded so deep and so far in the ground.
So when people actually utilize the system of human design in alignment, they will be able to have the root and the rise simultaneously. And that was not something that I understood before our call. I knew that this was a embodiment that you held, but I didn't really understand how that system, when used effectively in the multidimensional, if you will, like momentum of it, it will continue to help you go deeper into who you are, into the essence of your own sovereignty, while simultaneously helping you rise in success as well.
Absolutely, and this is even, like, the 2 sides of everything where I believe, like, human design. We have dark, we have light, we have sexy, we have unsexy, we have visible, we have invisible, right? We have ego, we have soul. We have these 2 sides that are constantly coming at each other, and even when we look at the system of human design, it's divided into these 2 sides. And there's one on this side, and there's one on this side, and there's different numbers on each side, and there's different this and that, and high frequencies and low frequencies. Like, it has to be both, and most people just want to be seen as that big tree, that big, strong tree. And it's like, the work is underneath. The work is what people can't see, and as you align and hold that confidence as a big tree, there's no shame in your roots. There's actually pride in the roots, and it's like, I'm willing to do that work. I'll dig it up. I'll see it again. I'll remind myself, like, I have to go there because you know that's how you grew the tree.
Well, you knew that's how you stabilize and sustain the tree for lifetimes to come.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, I just built this thing. Look at me in alignment. And then I go, did you really? You know, it's like, or like someone's wearing like a Halloween costume as a visual. I'm imagining here, but it's only for one night. And then they take it off and go home, and they're just like your average, person who's stuck in depression, but is like in alignment on the internet. You see that not fully, truly embodied becoming, where not just the past meets the present, chooses the future, but also, your mama three chooses the future generations as well. How has human design benefited you as a mother, knowing that you are in alignment for your children's future?
Oh my goodness, it's everything. Understanding them has helped me, and again, I have a history of education with children. Like, this has been my career and up until human design, what I've studied my entire life. So the psychology of children, the understanding of how they work, the different stages of development, like all of that, I understand so deeply. And then human design was like this icing on the cake where it's like now it's actually about the individual child, not children, not the phase of a child or between the ages of 1 and 3. They're like this. But then it's the individualization of my child and their system. So the way that I speak to my children, how I'm developing their confidence, not in a human design language, but I will say things like, I'll notice my daughter one day said something about she just had like a sacral hit and she like knew that a thing was over there. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go look. And I found it and I came back and I was like, Layla, like, I need to talk to you. And she's like, yeah. I was like, you always trust your gut. Like, go after every time you feel that feeling in your body because you're right. It's like, look what I found exactly where you knew it was going to be. So it's like instilling this confidence inside of their body, and I have conversations with them, and my son is an emotional authority. Both of my girls are 3 5s like you. So we have lots of conversations of like, "Okay, if it didn't work, well, what did you learn? Like, now what do you know? What do you wanna do next time? Like, what was the great thing that came out of that moment that didn't go how you wanted it to go?" Or my son who's an emotional authority, like, "It's okay that there's nothing wrong right now. You just have really big emotions." And like, "Do you need a hug? Do you need time alone?" So I'm helping develop their own understanding of self through my motherhood and parenting them by their design. And, again, understanding the psychology of children, because I think a lot of people will just then be like, "You're sacral, so whatever you say goes." And understanding they still need a leader, they still need guidance, they need to build support and confidence, they need to feel connection and unity with a parent, they need to feel safe. Like, we can't just throw our little kids out in the world and be like, "You're a sacral, so go for it, babe," you know? "You're a fifth line, lead your way to adulthood. Like, you've got this. You get yourself back up." There's so much more that goes into it where we have to understand the whole child and also the stages of development of the pieces of their design that they don't understand, but they already feel more than most adults, to be honest, because they're not in that conditioned state and they're already trusting their inner guidance in their bodies. And then it's how do I support that?
Hmm. Well, where the heck were you when I was a kid? Why didn't I choose to incarnate in that lineage? Because, wow, I feel like so much of my childhood would have been different if it wasn't like, well, get your shit together, pick yourself up, keep going. Like, we're always going to be poor. So it's like, I could see how, like, I was stuck in this, like, lower manifestation of the 3 5 where it's like, we're always going to fail, but get the fuck up, keep going. Like, you don't have a choice. Like, there's no processing here. There's get up, keep going, but don't worry, we're always going to fail again. So we're just going to keep regurgitating that. And so it's inspiring to see a woman who has built what you've built, but is actually simultaneously a fantastic mother. I'm sure if I was to ask you what is your greatest accomplishment, would you say that is your greatest accomplishment in life?
Yes, I think it's actually doing both at the same time, to be honest, because I I really would I knew I was always meant to be a mother, but I would never be happy being a stay-at-home mom.
Mm.
So it's like and even the freedom that human design gave me to be like, "Wait a second, is there another pathway for me to be such a hands-on mom and so involved in their life and still be so happy with my impact and my leadership and the work I do on myself, the work that I do with people inside of this world? Like, can I have both at the same time?" And this really gave me, again, a beautiful opportunity to look at there's 0 sacrifice. Like, it's I get to be it all, I get to have it all, I get to hold it all, and I don't have to sacrifice anything. And I think even coming into the parenthood conversation of being a projector, and all of my children are MGs, manifesting generators, they have a lot of energy. I have a lot of people that come in and are like, "I'm just so exhausted. Like, how do I as a projector mom, I'm so exhausted. I have these, like, sacral children running around." Again, we have to look at you being a mother.
Hmm.
So you have to align yourself, and then you're a mother to 3 sacred children. So you have to understand that you being passed out on the couch or not having a energy is not supporting your sacred children. So you have to find a way, and this is why alignment for self is the most important, then you can pour into everybody else. But I'm so busy in my life because I have 3 sacred children. Like, never am I like, "Because I'm low on energy, we can't do anything."
Yeah, so then it becomes, well, these are my children and I am a mother, so I have to work on my alignment to ensure that I can be in my my most vital energy I can possibly be for them. Not, oh, I'm a projector, so I need to have a nap. Good luck to you. I'll see you after my 20 minutes.
Exactly, and if I was still a teacher, that would probably be my reality, but that's where I would have cut off my potential of alignment. That's where I would have cut off my limitless reality by saying, "Well, here's the reality. This is how willing I am to align to just maintain being a teacher, working, being stressed, overworked, overwhelmed, exhausted, and doing everything at home and not making ends meet financially." So, that would have been my choice, and that would have been my well, here I am in my path of alignment thus far in my evolution, but I went beyond.
Well, you've converted me.
Yeah.
I didn't know if I was going to swing today. Well, understanding the embodiment of what you do. I didn't really understand human design. I only understood human design literally through Melanie, through you. And I invested in your 5-line mastermind a few years ago. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm really seen here. And that was one of the first times where I understood that projection field that I had never understood before. But finally was able to go, hindsight, wow. But then I didn't know how to evolve it. It felt like something I understood that became this static understanding that now made me understand why people sometimes love me for a second and then decide that I'm a villain when I say the wrong thing in their minds. Like, I didn't know how to keep growing with it, but now hearing you,
Also in a huge process yourself.
oh yeah,
Like, you were in one of the probably the most pivotal moments of your life,
yes,
if I would say, and that's the part though, right? Where it's like things happen at the same time. So you were going through something so massive for your own personal power
yeah,
and your own evolution and your own sovereignty and self.
mm,
And then it's like, again, human design finds you when you're the match of alignment of going further than where
uh,
you were at that moment in time because there were so many things happening. So it was like maybe it opened up that gateway
yeah,
for you to be able to hold that moment with that fifth line power and even, part of your third line in there too, to be like, oh, I see what's going on here.
yes.
And how do I self lead in this moment?
That is exactly what it was. Because I came to at the end of 2022 ish, was it when you offered it? I don't
I
know.
was there. Yeah, I can't remember.
And that was around all of that entity stuff. And to feel that I want to step up in my leadership and also like I'm in the pit of hell right now, like literally, physically in the pit of hell. You did really mirror for me the opening to stay open and realize I was going to trailblaze because of this. And this was a part of ultimately what was going to become mastery. And the irony is now it has become the mastery, just like you shared, it becomes the mastery. And then there's the other level for you to get into alignment. Like it makes so much sense now about what you're doing in the world and how you are 5-line. It's only that I only know 3-5. I don't know anything else. How you're 5-line, pioneering and trailblazing a complete roadmap for people to completely master themselves. And that's really at the heart of what you're helping people do.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And I remember that moment so clearly too. And this is just a little bit superficial, so I love it. But I remember you had a huge financial celebration. You're like, I don't want to buy eh, whatever, these luxury things. But you were like, but there is something luxury, but it's like what I want, and the thing that you bought was just like in that moment. And it was just the again, when we like hear click, 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 maybe there was ego, whatever, but it was like, I want to do it my way. And that's the voice of the fifth line, my way. And I don't want to do it like anybody else. And sometimes we go through these really crazy moments because you're not supposed to do anything like anyone else. And it's like you're again, pairing those up together was like, you're in the definition of knowing that, first of all, you're experiencing something nobody else is experiencing, but you're experiencing it so you could bring light to it, so you can support other people that have no idea what's going on and pioneer that path. And at the same time, you standing out and really coming into yourself to be like, I want to do anything and everything my way. And I refuse to go to a trend and I refuse to do something so it looks a certain way or say I did this. And it's like, even the confidence and courage for you to be like, I want to do it my way.
Yes. So funny you bring that up. That was one of the biggest conversations that Hayden and I had around that time, was that I would buy luxury clothes and treat them differently because I had a story as a child that I would never be rich, but we would always look it. And so I would burn my money to the ground when I started to make it with luxury items to appear like something. But this sweater I'm wearing that like appears like Balenciaga is actually like $10, and I'm obsessed with it now because that's my way. You know, when I was trying to be something out of alignment, it was, let me appear like this so that I have this sense of false authority, but also to try to fill that insatiable I'm unworthy or I'm never going to actually be able to sustain this. And now that I'm actually in alignment, I like very simple things. And I don't even know the last time I bought something luxury. That's not to say that, you know, if you're in alignment, you don't buy luxury. It's not that. But from my experience, my alignment, it was actually, I'm a super simple chick and I've been pedestaling these things to appear like something that's actually out of alignment with my own energy.
And that's where we go back to the conditioning, right? That the patterns, the lifestyle that you lived, what you heard, what you saw, and who you're being because of it, or who you're trying not to be because of it, rather than the self.
Well, I'm curious for our listeners today. Have you already like looked online to find out what your human design is? Do you already know what your human design is? Does this open up your mind? You know, this really opened up my mind because I did not think that we were going to find an agreeable point. And in truth, I came in quite naive. I didn't totally understand it. I thought it was this like static system, but you have really opened my mind and my heart to view my human design in a way that helps me continue to evolve my sovereignty, which I did not know before our call today.
Well, that's so beautiful. I'm so happy. Thank you.
Well, look at this debate. I feel like it's not about like winning or losing, like who win, but I feel like I came over to your side a little bit more by the end of this conversation. Like I see what human design's benefit is in being able to help me. And it's actually a system, just like any system or any modality, that can pull us further out of our sovereignty and take us out of alignment, or bring us further in if we see it through into out and into out and into out, but deeper and into out and deeper, right? That constant process is the same thing that human design can give anybody or pull people out of.
I love your work and I think we both speak just so incredibly on the ego and showcase that. And you make it interesting. I watch, and again, everything I see through the lens of human design, but the highest potential. And it's like, oh, you just like master these pieces of you that are just so naturally you. And it's just such an honor to see you being in such ease within yourself and also holding such a big mission and unwilling to let go of anything that is not in absolute alignment with you does not come forward. And only everything that is in the future and as of now without ego does. And it does with boldness and it does with courage and it does with magnetism. And just it's just so beautiful to see your work. So thank you.
I didn't expect to get all sorts of sweet compliments. Like, my moon in Leo is loving it and is also like, no. Wait, do you have anything else you want to say? No, don't. But are you sure? Like, should we do a round of applause? It's so funny. Well, thank you, Amy. I have so many more pieces to look at now, deeper than I did even an hour before our call today. So now I'm curious for our audience. You know, I feel like this was one of those debates where now it's really up to the people. You know, they can go, oh, well, now I want to learn about human design. This is fascinating. That didn't hit my spleen, but maybe I'll go on a run later and it could potentially come through my spleen, but it maybe hit my sacral and I'm curious about it. Or this just allows me to go so much deeper into the knowledge I had about human design, and maybe I was only looking at it through one dimension, and now through my conversation with Amy, I've got multiple dimensions to be able to view it. So on that note, we'll leave this with our audience. Like, do you think that human design or sovereign healer is the system to sovereignty? Is it one or the other or both? Let us know.